Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our painting live this morning. And actually, this is our last live of 2020. We're going to be taking a little break over Christmas, so want to wish all of you a very happy Christmas, very happy New Year. We will keep posting over the holidays, but just take a little break from the lives. But we will be back in the new year with lots of exciting topics and things to cover. So hope you enjoy today's live. So today, Kate has come back from the Paint Hub. It's brilliant. She's such a wealth of knowledge. She's so much experience. So she's the perfect person to have if you have any questions to do with painting. If any of you are planning on tackling a painting project over the holidays, make sure to get your question in and avail of Kate's expertise this morning. So I see Kate is there. I'm just going to ask her to join. Good morning. Hi, Kate.
Morning, Denise. I may lower this down. I'm only getting some of my head in. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
Good, not too bad. I'll just lower this down so you can see me a bit more. Now, can you see me there?
Brilliant. Yes, fantastic. I might move mine as well because, no, that's a bit better. There we go. Fabulous. How are you?
Good, not too bad. How are you?
Very good. Very good. I was saying this is our last live of 2020. So we're going to be taking a break over the Christmas. I can't believe it's, the end of the year. It's crazy.
It's amazing. And this day week, Stevens's Day, I just
Oh,
think
it's
for everybody, it's
unbelievable.
been the quickest lead up to Christmas. Probably 'cause
Yeah.
we didn't make it at the shops.
No, exactly. Like I haven't been anywhere. No, it has been frantic, absolutely frantic. But look, thank you so much giving up this Saturday morning to talk to us. We've had some great questions, Kate, and I think there's
Welcome.
loads of people planning a little painting DIY project over the holidays, the ideal time.
Great, great.
But I suppose one of the things actually, Kate, that a lot of people, when they're thinking about painting outdoors, what do you need to be mindful of, with the cold weather and stuff like that? Because it's not always ideal to paint outdoors
Yeah,
during the winter.
yeah, it isn't. Really, you've surpassed the season for painting metal or glass outdoors. Like it's a
Okay.
no-no for metal. Metal has to be brought into a heated environment this time of year. When it's outside, it's like condensation in on your windows in the morning. It's
Mm.
the temperature differential between the steel and the air, and moisture just forms on it. So even if you can't see it, there's a microscopic layer of moisture on steel at this time of year. So don't paint steel. Masonry is a lot more forgiving, mainly because the products are mainly made up of water, so it's a lot more forgiving. So,
Okay.
really, once it's not raining, masonry you can fire ahead. Sorry, now my eye's crying here. Huh,
Oh, don't worry.
sorry,
Yeah.
now coming in from the cold. Um, yeah, but this time of year, really, it's just stay away from most projects. Like if it's your front door, that as well, you don't want to risk there being a layer of moisture on there. So, masonry is probably the only one I'd go ahead with at this time of year. Yeah, and even at
Okay.
that, I'd
Okay.
try wait in the spring if you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the indoor projects really are the ones to be focusing on this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. Change
Yeah.
up a room. When you get bored of talking to your family on Stevens's Day, head off for an hour and paint a little box room and transform it.
That's it, exactly. Brilliant, brilliant. Well, one of the most common questions we were getting asked actually is people seem to be really focusing on their bathrooms at the moment, and like we've seen so many people tackle bathroom revamps. But one
Yes, yeah.
question, like a bunch of questions actually, first about painting bathroom tiles, and I know this came up when we spoke before, but
Yeah.
maybe can you recap then if people are thinking about painting tiles?
Yeah, tiles is a great one. Like you can just completely transform them, and people don't. Purchasing tiles is such a big decision because you're going to replace them when 20 years, 25. If you look at your parents' house and your own house, when do you replace tiles? We just don't.
Yeah.
So if you have tiles there and they're plumb and with a white trim and that, and you don't like them, it's one of the easiest jobs to do, one of the biggest transformations. So really, it's all down to the preparation. If they're
Hmm.
immaculately clean and you've given your grout the 24 hours to dry out, there's literally no margin for error. The only margin
Okay.
is any aesthetic imperfections. And that's easy. Stand back and you touch it up. So get a good primer, a good top coat, and it's one of the easiest jobs. It's very similar to just painting a wall in a bedroom, really. The products do the
Okay.
work.
Yeah, brilliant. And there's
Yeah.
specific products, like you don't just go out and buy any old paint. Is there a specific tile paint or can you use any paint, Kate?
If it says on the can that it's for tiles, then I would trust that. There's obviously with
Yeah.
different brands, you'll see on the market there goes from economy brands all the way up to premium. It doesn't always need to be the premium ones. The ones in the middle are often the sweet spot where you're
Hmm.
not paying top rate and you're not getting an underperformer. So there's a sweet spot there in the middle. But once it says it goes on to tiles, you take its word for it that it's passed test, and it'll often tell you on the can like there's a grade. Then what you're looking for is number one, the bond, but if it goes onto tiles, that's a given. But number two, that is the performance, where the with paint it goes from not wipeable to wipeable, washable, and scrubbable. So for tiles, you need the scrubbable because tiles are in those high wear areas,
Yeah.
splashbacks in your kitchen, utilities, bathrooms. So definitely, yeah, go for a good. The Irish independent paint shops, I never go by them because you're not going to deal with somebody who's only in there on a Saturday. It's usually the father or the daughter or the son. So
Hmm.
go to your Irish independents and get stocked up in case you get a frigary on Stephen's Day and you're mad to go and take on a project.
No, brilliant. And you're so right. Those independent stores, they are so knowledgeable. I mean, it's incredible
Yeah,
what they know.
yeah,
There's
they
a wealth
really
of
are.
knowledge in there. So yeah, just chat to them. That's great. And then
Yeah.
somebody asking tips or advice for removing mold and keeping it away, especially around windows, if you're
Yeah,
painting.
keeping it away is the dodgy one. Often you've got issues with your airflow.
Mm,
If you have excessive condensation out in a room, you're usually talking about the airflow. So I suppose creating a fresh airflow is your number one. So if you have an extractor fan or opening the window, like if your bathroom doesn't have an extractor fan, you need to be opening the window after you use it. But
hmm.
there are paints that won't let mold grow on the surface. So like Luya, Chikorilla one, there are other brands as well, and they're specifically designed for kitchen bathroom. And if they say kitchen
Brilliant.
bathroom, that means usually you've got anti-molding agents, and it just
Oh,
means that
brilliant.
the
Okay.
yeah, it means the paint is expecting more moisture to sit on it for longer, and it won't let that moisture bed into the film of the paint. So if
Hmm.
you have cheap hallway paint and it's very chalky, if you do a layer of moisture on that, it'll soften it and it'll create mold. But your kitchen bathroom ones, usually they're a little bit more of a satin feel to them and they're
Hmm.
much more robust and they won't let mold grow. So number one, I'd upgrade your paint system, but I'd investigate it then too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if there's mold
Yeah,
involved, now
yeah,
that's fantastic. Brilliant. And then a really good question actually. So somebody, there's sort of two parts to this question because we've got tons of color ones, Kate, as well, which I'll tackle now in a minute. But somebody who's installing new radiators, they're going for traditional style. And she's asking about matching the color, which I'll come back to. Should they go dark or light? But it's a really good point
yes.
because radiators are things that people love to paint. So what's your advice? Because I've heard different things. You shouldn't paint them, but
Oh, paint them.
yeah, go for it. That's what I'd
Like,
say too,
yeah,
because they can
go
really
for it.
look
Yeah.
awful. Yeah.
Like paint is it's so cheap and it's so easy and it's so reversible. Again, back to tiles. Tiles, it's expensive. You get a professional and it's a lifetime job. And I always nervous when people go for the really funky tiles because you're like, God, they'll be amazing for 8 or 10 years. But tiles you want 20 years.
You
Paint
do.
is the opposite. You could touch
Yeah.
up that radiator with a
Yeah.
different color next week. Or you can put on stripper and remove it. So obviously I'm very biased. I'm really pro painting. But radiators are the new revolution. Like I love that thing of having the radiator the same color as the wall because they're usually so ugly. Most of us have ugly
Yeah.
radiators
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you want it the same color. Even if they're pretty, it breaks up the room. You've a lovely, if you go to dark scheme, especially, you have a lovely dark scheme, then this big white eye-catching object in the middle of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm mad for painting the radiators. And again, it's so quick, easy, and reversible being the main thing. You can change the color or take it all off.
Yeah. Fabulous. And actually, we had Joanne Mooney, who I know uses a lot of your paint for her fabulous
Yes.
home, was on recently. But she had a radiator and she sprayed it like almost cobalt blue. Like it looked fabulous in her bathroom. So what kind of paints? Do you need a special paint for radiators, or is it just a metallic paint, or what do you go for?
Yeah, you want to make sure you get the grip right. There are a lot of paints that are designed to grip on as a one coat system. So Joanne used the spray paint WRX,
Mm,
and again, that's direct to metal. It's
mm,
it's built to grip on immaculately. Again,
mm.
make sure you're painting it indoors or in a warm environment, especially if you're going in and out. That temperature differential when you bring it out, it gets cold. So that part, if your radiator is in a heated environment, you've no issue with the bond. If the product has said it's going to stick to it, it will. So go with something that says so. WRX is your quick, easy spray it on. And then other
Mm,
than that, then I usually go either the Otex primer, which is a super adhesion primer. It's designed to grip to everything. I put a layer of that on and then my paint. And that
Okay.
paint could be any paint. Whatever you've used on the wall, sometimes people will use on the
Oh,
radiator,
wow.
or whatever you've
Okay.
used on the woodwork. Yeah, you can. It just depends. Like some emulsions wouldn't be very hard wearing, and the radiator will get some knocks because it's sitting proud of the wall. So
Mm-hmm.
usually you're better off going with a woodwork paint as opposed to an emulsion. But if
Mm-hmm.
you've done the room in the one emulsion and you want to bring it onto the rad, there's no problem.
Go for it. Okay, well, that's brilliant. I didn't
Go
realize
for
that.
it. Yeah.
That's great.
It's
And
the
then this,
theme
so,
of the day, Denise. Go for it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You're dead right. You're dead right. No, and you know what? I was so impressed with the finish Joanne got just by spraying. Like it looked like it
Yeah.
was made that
Yeah.
way. So it gives an amazing finish. Actually, really looked.
Yeah.
Well, she made it look absolutely effortless. So maybe that's just
She's a
Joanne.
good, and she's used to using the spray paints. And if you're
Yeah,
not used
yeah,
to, she's painting as much as a painter. But if you're not used to it, have a go out the back with something smaller, even on a piece of cardboard. Practice with a nozzle. Like
yes,
if this is the item you're going to paint and you start off straight face on, the paint can fizzle up and build up really quickly. You
yeah.
need to start spraying out in the air where there's nothing behind it. Get going, get the nozzle pressed when you're not touching or facing the substrate, and then start coming across. And don't let your finger go again till you're off it. So all the
Ah,
nozzle work is
okay.
when you're not in front of the item. Yeah.
Ah, that's very interesting. Okay, brilliant,
Mhm.
brilliant. Well, now
And
that's something.
you can create a little spray booth very easily with the boxes. If you get a paint delivery or any delivery and you have a box, like if you're painting mirrors and little small items, put them into that box and that's a spray booth made up for you.
Brilliant. And listen, everybody's house is full of boxes. I mean, I'm sure everybody's getting stuff delivered at the moment. So no,
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
yeah,
Brilliant idea.
yeah.
Great. And I just say, just back to the lady asking about should she go dark or match the woodwork? I guess it depends whether you want the radiator to be a feature or you want it to blend in. So, I'd
Exactly.
say, yeah, either would work. I think, I've seen particularly the old style radiators, they take dark colors really, really well. So that could be gorgeous,
Yeah.
make them really stand out. No,
And I'd
fantastic.
match the
Okay.
wall probably quicker than the woodwork, wouldn't you? Like if you match the woodwork, you're going to have a feature of the rad. But if it's a beautiful rad like Joanne Mooney's one, go for it, make a feature. But usually with radiators, usually we're going the same color as the wall. So if
Yeah,
that's dark,
exactly.
then dark. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
go for it. Absolutely. Okay, brilliant. And then, oh yes, another really good question actually, about dark colors. And I've come up against this before, Kate, where it's hard to get the dark colors that are scrubbable. So they're asking what type
Yes.
of paint to go for if you want to go for dark colors, but you want them to be really, really durable and not show up any marks.
Yeah, it's a great question because there are two different ways of going about it. We have paint here in dark and it's super durable and washable, but will show up all your handprints because it's the dark color. But
Okay, yes.
you literally get, so let's say our Optiva 3 ceramic, it's a dead
Mm-hmm.
flat, like a Farrow ball, a chalky matte. Now
Mm,
it's wipeable, washable, scrubbable, everything. So no matter
yeah.
what goes on it, you just get a dry cloth and you wipe it off. But I found I did it in my downstairs loo in black and the kids' paws were on it the whole time. So I was a little bit
Really.
devastated about that. So
Yeah.
if you're going dark, you have to go up a little bit on the sheen level. So instead of Optiva 3 in the hallway, I went dark blue, I went Optiva 5. So it's a little bit more of a satin element to it, just a little bit, because the classification of matte is 0 to 10. It's a 0 to 100 scale for matte to gloss. So
Mm-hmm.
3 is a super dead, flat, non-reflective matte. So Optiva
Okay.
3 is that one. So I just went to a 5, which is literally halfway in the matte scale. It's still classified as a matte, but there's a very slight sheen. There's less of a powdery feel, so the
Mm-hmm.
kids' handprints don't stick to it. So it just means
Very good.
the more you go up, the less you'll have the handprints. But also bear in mind, the more you go up when it's a dark colour, you'll see all those surface imperfections.
Of
So it's a
course.
catch-22. I wouldn't go above a 5,
Okay,
just to make it
brilliant
really
tip.
complicated.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, but that's a great tip because that's the last thing you want. Yeah, is for it to be showing up everything, particularly in the evening when the lights are on, if you've light shining
Yeah.
on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So the
Okay.
Optiva 3, the dead flat one, it won't show off any surface imperfections. Even when you have a lamp glaring onto that surface, it's not reflective. You don't see the glare of the lamp off it. So
Okay.
if your walls are not in good nick or you're going dark, I'd go Optiva 3. But if you have kids, I'd bring it to the 5. I wouldn't go to 7 or anything. Go to the 5, and that'll give you the mix of the two. It'll give you where if the kids touch it, you don't see it, which is important with a dark one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. And
Or
actually,
farm out the kids to a relative for a few years.
farm out the kids. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the other
Definitely.
alternative.
It's the
People
other
saying
alternative.
they love the paint hub, which of course is just amazing.
Thank you
I
very much.
spotted a question there just about yes. Can you make a matte paint into a soft sheen?
No, you couldn't. No, not at home yourself. No, you couldn't. It would be different ingredients in it. The core ingredients would be different. We have a matting agent here for commercial customers, and in a gloss paint, they can add little bit by little bit and dampen down the gloss. But it would be
Mm-hmm.
difficult to go the other way. You'd have to be adding like varnish type ingredients, and you'd be
Mm.
diluting the color and everything. So
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you
No,
can't. No, no.
no, and it would
You
mess
can
with the
mattify a
composition.
sheen.
Oh, you can mattify
Yeah.
a sheen. Ah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, mattifying agent comes in 1 litres. It's like kind of
Wow.
like wallpaper paste meets talcum powder type thing, and you put it in. It doesn't mess with the colour and it dampens the gloss. So if you had an expensive kind of gloss paint, you can buy that. But for the time and effort, you're nearly as well getting the different paint. But yeah,
Mm,
at home it is possible to bring a sheen down, but not to bring it up.
that's really interesting. Okay, wow, fabulous. Somebody just saying there, Kate, that they have a problem at their stove. We use coal, so white skirting board near it gets so dirty. Any ideas what they can do?
I tell you what I would do there is I put a clear lacquer over it, like a varnishy layer. So when people think varnish, they think more like in a pub, like a high gloss orangey varnish.
Hmm.
Varnishes these days are crystal clear, and you can choose your matte level. You can choose super dead flat matte, matte, satin and gloss. So I just would choose the sheen level of what's already on the skirting board. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's a satin, which they're usually satin, I'd give it a fresh lick of white satin, and then I'd get a satin varnish top coat. So Polyvine, we're actually discontinuing that range. So ours are half price at the moment, but Polyvine is a lovely range. We don't have the agency for the country is the only reason. There's no other reason. It's an amazing brand. It's in
Mm.
a lot of your followers are Dublin. It's in Stillorgan Decor, Fuller Paints, and that's a really good like scrubbable eco water-based varnish. That's what I do. That's the only thing you really can do, and that'll protect. It'll just give another layer of a film between the coal and your lovely white finish.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
your other option is a really good scrubbable white.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's easy to clean or paint it dark if that works with the color
Yeah,
scheme as well.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Forgot about that one. Yeah, you can paint dark.
and
Yeah.
actually, Kate, it just reminds me when I was doing a Q&A a while back, but somebody was asking about any sort of lacquer or I suppose varnish or some sort of something that you could put on a timber floor if you sanded it back to stop it going yellow. Are there any sort of protective?
Yeah, yeah. So when you go the oil-based varnishes, they all yellow. So we were talking about that the last day. Like
Yes,
if you
yeah.
use oil-based paint for your doors, skirting, which is still so common,
Mm,
factually, no matter what the brand, it will yellow within 1 to 2 years. So
mm-hmm,
same goes for your varnishes for your floor. Don't use oil-based, use a water-based. My parents did theirs recently, used, obviously we do a lot in Tickerilla, so they used a Tickerilla one in Unica. But there are loads of good, again, Polyvine, they have a heavy duty floor varnish. There are loads of companies with good water-based varnishes for your floors. And if it's
mm-hmm.
water-based, it's non-yellowing.
That's fascinating. I never thought about it in terms of varnishes as well, because so many floors they are oiled. I mean that's what
Yeah,
it's some sort
yeah,
of oil-based finish that would go on it, and it's such a problem, particularly where they're near, sliding doors and things like that. So that's fascinating.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
and they're not. Now, if they want to take the yellowness away, like my parents had it, and it was an oak floor, so they got the Unica in a stain, and they put some stain into it, so it comes in clear stain and a full-bodied color. So it depends if
Hmm.
you want to totally obliterate the look of the floorboards, you need to have a full-bodied color, clear to keep the exact same look, or tinted. So they put in a grey stain to take the oranginess out of the floor and put a grey stain over it, so you could still see the knots and you could still
Yes.
see a lot of the wood, but it was stained. So that's a nice option if you want to change the scheme, because so often you see people getting the lovely grey colours, and like pine and oak, there it's like you'd say you're stuck in that orange brown
Yeah.
colour scheme then. Your only
Yeah.
options are yellowy, orangey or green colours. You can't go into the greys and blues comfortably.
No, exactly. It just they jar
Mhm.
completely. No, no, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Brilliant. And then somebody asking, Kate, should you put varnish on kitchen cabinets after painting them? And if so, what kind? So I suppose this is to make them
Denise,
more durable.
I'll have no mascara left in this one eye, more importantly, by the time this is
You're like
over.
me.
I'm
This eye
absolutely,
here is
I don't know what
constantly
I got
streaming.
in
I
this
don't know why
eye.
mine isn't. Today,
I know what I got
unfortunately.
in this eye. I've got some kind of allergy brewing. Sorry, no, kitchen counters. Yeah, so it depends on what brand again you used. Like a lot of the brands are good. There'll be one or two wouldn't be great. So it depends on what you use. See how you the danger of living in it first is that if it gets scuffed, touch-ups are never as good as a real thing. So if
Yeah,
in
okay.
doubt, absolutely put on a clear lacquer. We have one Kiva and it's another clear layer between it. Again, Polyvine have one. I'm not sure who else. I'd say Ron Seals and that. Again, don't go oil based, definitely go water based. And
Okay.
yeah, there's no harm. There's no harm doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
really, if you're worried, I would. Kitchen cabinets get a ferocious level of wear. So
Yeah.
if you're low wear on your kitchen as it is, if you don't wash your kitchen presses often and they still look clean, then you're not really a clear sealer candidate. But if you are
Mm.
washing them and you have kids and that, I
Mm.
would, yeah, it's handy. But again, depends on the paint because the grade level, like again, you've some that are barely wipeable and you've some that are really strong.
Okay. Okay. No, brilliant. Brilliant. And then, oh, a really good question here, actually. Any recommendations for painting a laminate floor?
Yeah, laminate floors are tricky because you have that balance of the coating being tough enough to withstand loads of wear and then having a
Mm.
little bit of give. So it's not really the ideal one for painting.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so we tend to stay away from it. There's no long-term solutions. Again, go into your Irish Independence and they'll have something, but it will be something you'll probably touch up yearly or every second year. Again, you want
Mm-hmm.
an adhesion primer. We sometimes go with the system Otex. It grips on, so Otex, and then our single pack floor paint Betalux. It's what we
Mm.
used for all the line marking here in the shop, and it's a good one. But even over laminate, like it works unbelievably on hard wooden floors and that. But laminate, it's that mixture of that slippery surface and that
Mm.
little bit of give. So technically laminate, there's not really any unbelievable system out there. You will be touching it up every year or two, really, in
Yeah,
honesty.
yeah. And I suppose it is weighing it up sometimes. Like it's good for a quick fix, but if you're looking to
Yeah,
replace it or, revamp the house, sometimes these things are better to replace than spend a lot of money and time and stuff trying to achieve
yeah,
something that is going to wear
yeah,
over
yeah.
time. Just as you're talking there, Kate, I'm thinking about sealants, people putting sealants on tiles and things. Are they things you guys supply and just to seal, say if it's natural stone,
Mm,
that sort of thing? And is there anything to be mindful of there if people are looking to do that, just to protect
yeah,
them?
yeah. For natural stone for sinks, is it?
Well, more like for tiles or, on floors, things like that.
Tiles on
Just to,
floors.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, there are. Again, I'd probably go, yeah, the Polyfine. I keep mentioning them today because they're specifically clear lacquers. Like that's their whole business. So they have them from
great.
everything
Yeah,
from wallpaper to, stone. So yeah, there are brick and stone protectors. I'd go with something like that, a brick and stone protector. We have them here as well in Berlin. Water Seal it's called. And
great.
it's a clear, light lacquer. Again, the idea behind them is they're crystal clear. So again, go with water-based crystal clear lacquer, and they just sit on top. They're a very fine film, and they prevent again any build-up, mosses, molds, water. So yeah, there are a good range of those out there. Um, you
Brilliant.
often don't need to do it on floors. The tiles should be designed that way, but if you find you're getting an issue,
Mm, mm.
there are options. And anti-slip as well. We've new nanotechnology stuff, anti-slip little bottles, and they're invisible, and you can spray them on the floor. And when the floor gets wet, you've got really strong traction.
Really?
Um, yeah, another water-based option again, nanotechnology, and that nanotechnology and paint just means you can have an ultra fine film, so you don't affect the look of the tile. You can't see it, you can barely feel it. So I suppose the acid test is if you wet your tile and you put your hand along and it's slippy, you'll know if you've an issue with slippy tiles. But before you do it, do that, and then you spray this on an anti-slip nanotech, and you wipe it in with microfiber cloth. Wait about 2 minutes, wash it off, then pour water on and put your hand, and you won't have that sliding motion. So there's really good stuff now for tiles. If you have issues with your tiles, whether it's anti-molding or like that little one, anti-slip, it's a really quick fix for like a little 20 or 30 euro bottle. So that's a
That's a
nice one, really
brilliant
innovative
idea.
one.
I had no idea
Mm.
that would, and you'd be nervous about spraying something on tiles, especially if they're
Yeah,
glossy or something that it would. Yeah, that's
yeah,
fascinating, Kate. Can you
yeah,
share some of these things in stories or something later? Just so
yeah.
people know, yeah, the names of them, because I think that's a fascinating product.
Yeah, I'll
Brilliant.
share that one in our stories before I go. I'll hold up the
Yeah,
bottle. I have it there in the shop somewhere. Shop's a bit big. I'll find the bottles and I'll just hold it up. But
brilliant.
that one's a dinky one. The nanotechnology stuff is so exciting because the range we have in it's from America. Like they're non-toxic, they're water-based, and they're just super high function and such a fine film. And so they bring really high function properties. So if you're looking for again anti-molding, biocidal, anti-slip, or self-cleaning, all the funky videos you see on Facebook where
Yeah,
they
yeah,
throw muck on a t-shirt and it repels, or they throw a
yeah.
bucket of muck on a car and it repels off like as if it's been shoved off. That's
Yeah.
all the nanotechnology stuff that we're doing now.
That's amazing. Wow, fabulous.
They're
Great.
exciting, yeah.
No, it's great. And then somebody asking, what can you put on slate floors other than a finish that washes away over time? I would love something permanent, that will keep the colors and easily maintain. Keep it easy to maintain.
Again,
It's
that
the
stone
same
and
part.
brick protectors. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need something like that. You have to prime the slate because slate again is quite tricky. But then it's just down to the level of foot traffic. So you just have to match the product with your level. So again, same as the kitchens.
Yes.
Again, if you've
Yeah.
got kids, if you've got dogs, floors are difficult. Like if you've got dogs' nails, you see when you sand back a wall to prepare it, you're essentially doing that every day. So like
Hmm.
it depends on your level of wear. You have to match your household to the paint you go for. So essentially if you're a very high wear household, you have to go for 2-pack epoxies. Normal floor paint on the shelf is just designed for normal foot traffic. We usually say once there's a wheel in the mix, go 2-pack. So if you have trolleys or scooters or kids' toys, if it's in your garage and you have a ride-on lawnmower or a car, 2-pack is when you have the normal can of paint you see on the shelf and it comes with a little activator or a hardener and you pour
Hmm.
it in and you stir it up. And what happens is instead of your paint drying by aeration, by the solvents leaving on the floor, it dries by a
Hmm.
chemical reaction. So the part A and B are fusing together and it becomes something totally different than what A and B were originally. Because all
Hmm.
of your normal single pack paints, they're reversible. So if you put down a normal white spirit based paint, if you ever spill white spirits on it and leave it ponding, you could get a
Hmm.
brush and work it back up to what it was originally. It hasn't changed
Ah,
in terms of its
yeah.
structure. All
Yeah.
it's done is dried by evaporation. It's the very same paint. So that's where you get those issues with like, spillages and where you can wipe away the paint or if you spill fuel or oil in your garage. But 2-packs are much more high tech. And like if you go to a Tesco distribution centre or Aldi, they'll all be done with 2-pack paints.
Okay.
Your people that are using this one can floor paint are just usually your homeowners once you go commercial at all. So not to make it too long winded, but once you add in that additive, like my God, like the level of hard wearing and chemical resistance, washability and resistance to water ponding on it in the longer term. So yeah, I think if you've had issues before, you need to jump up a level then and get a different, again, go to, like even in Dublin again, Stillorgan and Pat McDonald's, Fuller, they'll all have more techie paint than you'll see in your average big hardware store. So go into
Sure.
those and ask them, they'll have those 2-pack paints. And again, some of them
Hmm.
come in little small 3 litres in all the RALs. It's like I did my garage floor
Amazing.
pink. Yeah, you
Fabulous.
can pick any
Yeah.
colour. And and
Yeah.
again, get a contractor if you're nervous, but the margin for error then is just get the A and the B and you mechanically stir them. So your drill and those paint paddles you get in the hardware store or the paint
Hmm.
shop for €9 odd.
Brilliant. Okay, great. And then we got a lovely question just as we started. So I'm going to paraphrase because I didn't get a chance to write it down. But basically, the lady is saying that she hasn't painted her house for a long time, many, many years. And she said that basically the magnolia paint is practically holding up the house. So she's wondering, does she need to prime her walls before she starts painting?
No, I wouldn't bother. Like, 'cause like paint sticks to paint, no problem. Like, you're only looking for a
Great.
primer
Yeah.
for 2 reasons. One, if it's a porous substrate and you want your sealer to go in and grip onto it, that it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
soak in your paint. And
Mm-hmm.
number two would be if it's a difficult surface to stick to, so tiles, windows, laminate, composite doors. But when something's already painted, paint sticks to paint very effectively. What I would do is give them a really good wash and a light sanding and then straight on with your paint. I wouldn't waste your time with a primer in that situation.
Yeah, and like magnolia is a fairly light color anyway, so it's not like it's going to show through unless. And Kate, what if the walls, God forbid, were painted in a high gloss or something like that, like, and then you want to put a matte paint on top? Is just sanding it down that's sufficient
Yeah,
to go at it?
I'd
Yeah,
go with a light sanding, yeah, because you'll
yeah.
save on buying another product. And what you'll gain is when you're sanding anyway, you're mechanically agitating any dirt or anything on there. So we want them to sand it anyway. So if you were buying an adhesion primer, which there is, and you put it on, that's a compromise on sanding. So I would just get really hot water, scrub it back, and then get a light sand everywhere. It'd be fabulous. So if it's a gloss, you always have two options, sand or prime. People often will
Hmm.
go with the primer still. But sanding, people hate the sanding, but yeah, a good sanding there's nothing really beats it.
No, no, okay, that's brilliant. Great. Brilliant, Kate. And then I might just touch on, like, interestingly enough, most of the questions are the same thing. Colors, neutral colors for north facing, dark sort of rooms. So I know we touched on these before, and I have the lovely
Yeah.
cards here. But
The
you
one you
know,
did the last day, Denise. Geez, we've been selling them since. So was it sand?
well, yeah. So
Chai. You did
yeah,
chai.
chai was beautiful. What was the other one I was looking at here? So there's some gorgeous ones, like there's mulberry, which is this lovely
Oh,
kind of,
lovely.
yeah, really, really nice one, I think. And then, you know, something like merino is really nice as well. They've just got a little bit of warmth in them, but they're still that very neutral. They're sort of a cooler version, especially, you know, if you have sort of a more traditional scheme rather than going for the creams and the yellows and things like that. They're a more contemporary look, I suppose. Um, and then there's some gorgeous ones as well, like people asking about what whites to use for the woodwork. So I think we talked about it before, the Ticarella white, which is this one here, which is
Yeah,
such a gorgeous
yeah,
color. Yeah, really, really
it's
nice.
lovely. Yeah, with nearly
But what I
every
might,
scheme.
sorry, Kate.
Sorry, Denise, I was just saying that particular white, nearly every scheme would be our top seller because it's so neutral. It's not
Yeah.
very affected by other colors, so it can kind of go with every scheme.
No, it's fantastic. And then we had a lady asking about, she's painted her kitchen a grey green and wants to paint her tiles. So she was asking like what
Lovely.
color to paint. And I would be keeping it really neutral. Something like the Ticarella white would be gorgeous
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you don't want to sort of make another feature like that grey green kitchen.
yeah,
That's your statement. So keep
yeah.
everything else
Sounds
really,
lovely.
really neutral and fresh. So that would be gorgeous. But what I might do, like I
Yeah.
did the last time, I might just put these up in stories and actually answer all the color questions directly, and then I can
Brilliant. That's
recommend
lovely.
so people can can see because it's hard to remember all the names. So I might just do that. So listen,
That'd be
Kate, I
brilliant. We
won't.
made those last time. Sorry.
Did you?
We
Well,
have them
listen,
in
I
our
don't want to sort
story
of.
still saved.
Well, I'll share them as many as I can. But listen, thank you
Ah,
so
thanks.
much. I'm sure you're extremely busy today, this Saturday before Christmas. If, like
I'll
myself,
be
you've still
busy
got
getting
lots.
the mascara.
Oh,
Sorry.
you'll be getting
I
mascara.
keep there's a bit of a delay here. I think I'm a little bit behind you, but yeah, I'll be busy reapplying the mascara. I don't know what happened to my eye before I came on, but my God, you're burning the socket off me while I'm talking to you. But
Oh, you poor thing. Well, listen, thank you so much. Happy Christmas. No doubt we'll be seeing lots of you in the new year. And are you open over the holidays? Are you closing up or?
no, yeah, we're closed up and we're delivery. We're online only, so we wouldn't be advising if someone was stuck for something. We wouldn't probably be advising to order now. Now we'll be sending out
Okay.
orders on Monday, but just in case. So when they're gone out Monday, you should have them the Tuesday, Wednesday. But just in case, I'd say pop to your local independent. And no, so we're
Yeah.
closed up, which is great. It's lovely to be in an industry that you have the luxury of closing. So we don't
Yeah.
open till the 4th, and loads of testing then in January because the market is somewhat quiet in January. People aren't too keen on painting and the weather and that. So February then it'll be all systems go.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, listen, have an amazing Christmas, a very well-deserved break. And everybody tuning in, thanks so much for all your support, all your following, all your lovely comments. Happy Christmas, everybody. And we'll see you in the new year. Thanks, Kate.
Denise, have a good one. Thank you, Denise. Talk to you
You too.
shortly.
Take care. Bye bye. Bye bye bye.